Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. In this session, we are going to talk about another very important topic related to MCP Model Context Protocol, where we will be mainly learning about what is resources. Okay, so we will discuss in MCP what is resources, why do we really need it, and how we can implement it. So I thought before of sharing the direct practical example, it would be better if we cover a theoretical session for resources. Okay, so for that reason I'm just creating this session where we will just theoretically understand what is resources in MCP, why it really helpful for us. Okay, and in the next session we will continue the practical demo. But before we proceed further with this session, I would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released session first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow it sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for timing we are just mainly focusing on what is resources. Okay, and for that you can also refer the Sharmit digital course book, which is freely available in the description box. There you will find thousands of sessions available in both Hindi as well as English language. So without any language barrier, you can easily consume the content, and in case if you have any queries or questions, you can simply reach out to me through comment section. I would be more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay, alright, so let's see what is resources. So if someone asks you in the interview, so you can just directly give this definition that a resource is the resource in MCP is a readable data that an AI model can access from a MCP server. Okay, so it is what? It is just a readable kind of data that we provide to AI model for its context. Okay, so for the context purpose, if you want to provide some information as a readable data, then that data we will store as a resource. Okay, so now just in a simple terms, you can say that think of a resource as a file, maybe any document, database, record log, or any other information source that AI can read whenever it is looking for the context. Okay, so in a very simple way we can say that a resource in information exposed by an MCP server for AI to read. Now some of you might be thinking we already have tools, then why don't we provide the information from there? Because tools are supposed to perform operations, actions, right? Not to provide the data. Okay, so unlike tools, resources do not perform actions, they simply provide data. Okay, so in a real world analogy you can understand, I think this example will help you to understand the things. So imagine you are working in an office where we are using tools. Now what all tools are available there? Calculator, printer, and then they perform the actions, right? They are actually performing the actions. Similarly, we have resources like employee handbook, company policies, project documentation. So they all provide us information. That's why we are saying it as resources. Okay, so MCP also follows the same idea, where employee, as we discussed, employee reads the employee handbook to get the information. Okay, similarly, whenever AI model need information or a context, then in that case it will access the resources from the server. Okay, alright, now let's go deep dive into this thing, why do we really need the resources. Okay, so AI model, we all know that AI model have a limited built-in knowledge about our own project, right? Our private data, current data. So in that case, resources allows AI to read information like documentation, PDF, configuration file, source code, logs, database record, API specification, and project notes. So for these kind of thing we will use resources. Okay, so overall core idea of resources is quite simple, that it is a read-only structured or unstructured data shared by the MCP server used to give AI additional context. Okay, so it's quite simple that yes, AI can read these resources, but it doesn't execute it. Okay, Now if someone asks you how it really works, what is the working, so you can simply say that firstly a AI assistant requests the resources, then simply MCP client process the MCP server, then read the resources like database, file, API, document, and returns the data, and AI user can get the information. So this is a simple flow of the working. Now let's talk about some example so that you can relate with it. Okay, so suppose you have asked some modification related to your project. So in that case, how human work, right? Humans also refer some documentation before actually implementing something, right? So in our project folder we kept the readme.md file, right? So from that readme.md file, AI can read it and identify what are the installation steps, what are the features, commands, uses. Okay, so these all information comes from the readme file, readme.md or markdown file. Similarly, if we want to provide context related to the database, then AI can read the customer table, and from there it can read customer email, name, email, etc, etc. Okay, so I think these examples are clear. Now we'll talk about very important thing, that is resource URI. Okay, so every resource has a unique identifier called URI, that is uniform resource identifier. Okay, so whenever like AI requests the resources, it uses its URI, which is uniform resource identifier. Okay, so you will see all the resources like this. Okay, file ://md readme.md, installation, customer 123, logs today. Okay, so these are the URI that AI request that AI use whenever it requests the resources. Perfect. Now we'll talk about the differences in a detailed way, because this is also a kind of interview question that usually come in interview, like what is the difference between resource and tool. So you can simply say that resource mainly provide us information, it is read only, there is no side effect because we are not doing any modification, and it is used for context, and it's like a reading a book. On the other hand, we have tool that actually performs the action. It can change the data, it has ability to modify it. It may also have the side effect because we are doing modification, and it is mainly used to execute the task. So we can say that it's quite like a calculator which is supposed to do some task whenever user use it. Clear? Okay, now let's take one more real world example. Okay, so suppose you are using some AI model and you just simply give the provide the output, you provide the task like what is our company's refund policy. So in that case, how AI will identify if there is no resources? Okay, because AI also need to know what is the exact answer, then it can answer the thing. So in that case, if we are using the resources, then AI can read company : policy / refund, and from there it can get the information related to company policy, and then it can respond to your answer, what is our refund policy. Clear? So that's the main reason why we are using the resources. Now what are the common types of resources? We have multiple things like markdown files, PDFs, documentation, database record, CSV file, JSON file, source code, report, notes, logs. These are the all things that comes under a common types of resources. So yeah, that's all for today. I hope resources is clear to everyone what is resources, and from next session we will again continue our practical part where we will implement each and everything in detailed way. We'll understand the code, and actually we will try to implement the things with different resources. Okay, meanwhile you can do the practice, just try whatever we have covered so far, because in last sessions also we covered so many examples. So refer those example, try to create it, because this is completely practical thing. So if you are not performing it in your system, then you might forget these concepts later. Okay, so it's always better to do practice together, and if there is any issues or obstacles for you, just let me know. I'll more than happy to answer all your questions. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today, and see you in the next session. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit. keep answering the questions that we always ask in the end of the session. And today also let me ask you one question, like how we can identify what all I think this is a repeated question, but yeah, you can give it a answer, like how you will find what are the tools available in our server, okay, from client. So just write a short answer, because when you write the answer of these questions, it will gives me the notification that you are referring these series, and on the basis of that only I will publish more session to this playlist. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session with new topics. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.